Play that funky music, white boy. We are listening to the 8 Melodies from Mother 1 on the Nintendo Famicom. And before I begin, and especially in this case, let's not only demonetize ourselves, but make a point that I don't think Jesus would be smoking weed. Oh, yeah. I don't normally wake and bake, but I feel like I needed to right now. That's good. That's good. That's good. We don't need much right now. Just a little bit. It's good. Please don't ever call me Jesus. Please don't ever say that I look like Jesus. I know that sometimes, apparently, I look like the Renaissance depictions of Christ. But, even then, don't. Please. I don't know. It's weird to me, you know? I haven't been to a barber probably since I was 18 in the military. That's the last time I've ever been to a barber. I have perpetually had facial hair, and I don't cut my hair. You want to know what I do? Unfortunately, I have 2 forms of stress relief, and that's that I chew and bite on the inside of my mouth until it bleeds. I have scars on the inside of my mouth because I've been chewing on it for my entire life. Like that. Y'all ever do that? Or you just bite and pull on the corner of your mouth with your teeth and then push your lips away until it breaks out of your teeth? Yeah, I do that for stress relief a lot. The other thing I do is that I tear my hair out. Not explicitly to tear my hair out. It's just I don't use hair oils. I probably don't use as much conditioner as frequently as I should. So sometimes when I just pull my fingers through my hair, there's some tangles in there, and I'm like, if you're gonna get tangled up, then you don't get out. Like that. Just rip my hair out all the time, dude. I don't care. Look at that. Yeah. I don't care. I've been doing that my whole life, and it keeps growing back like this. I don't know. Am I pulling the hair out? The base of the follicle gets bigger and the hair grows back thicker? I don't really know. I can't explain it. I just look like this without doing things, okay? I don't do things to look like this. This is just the way my genes look. And I'm trying not to be angry about this, but there is a genuine frustration of my soul, is that please don't compare me to Christ. Do not compare me to the Lord Almighty, the Son of God. Do not compare me to him in any way. Please. I'm not demanding, I'm asking. I'm pleading. But it's always going to happen again. Anyway, and I wanted to, share stories about that. Whoa. Oh. Sometimes just a little bit of weed can help bring up the garbage from the lungs, and it just did. Sorry about that. Anyway, let me share a story with you. This is the first time it ever happened to me. It was me, my brother, and my mom. I was 22 at the time, and we decided to go out to Applebee's for dinner. And I was taught to always hold the door open for people by my 2nd grade teacher, Miss Shu. And we got a little bit of beer left here from last night. Let's finish that. Would Jesus drink this? No, stop comparing me to him. Anyway, I hold the door open for my mom and my brother, and then I look down the walkway, and I'm like, yo, there's a party of 20 people who are walking up here. And the first person is within 20 feet. I'm just going to hold the door open for these people. I don't care, My mom and my brother are going to go get a table, and then I'll just find them in there. Whatever. I'll hold the door open for these people. That's the kind of person I was taught to be by my teachers. And I don't want to disrespect my teachers. So, the teenagers go in first, the older people, adults, they go in. And then at the very tail end of this big old family gathering is this like 90-year-old woman who's taking like each one of her steps. She only covers like 3 or 4 inches at a time. She's taking very, very small, short steps. And she's holding the hand of what I can only assume is her great-great-granddaughter, who looks to maybe be 5. And in that moment, I just thought, that's so beautiful. Wow. There's a generational gap that's closing right there as they hold each other's hands. They just see and love each other, and wow. I'm glad I held the door open for these people. I'm glad I got to see this. I love seeing that. It's important to me. It shows such a deep and intimate family bond. That's so good, man. And after that whole party goes inside, I just keep holding the door open for like another minute and a half until grandma and this little kid finally get up to the door. And this little kid, like they say, from the mouth of babes, right? This little kid, her left hand is holding grandma's hand, and then she takes her right hand and like tugs at her grandma's dress. And, grandma looks down at her, and then she points at me, and she just says, "Grandma, look, it's Jesus." Dog agrees, apparently. And in that moment, that was the first time I ever truly understood the words of the Bible, when Christ told us to have faith like a child has faith. Think about it from that kid's perspective, right? Jesus is so normal and real to her. She's probably heard what a lot of us heard as children, that Christ still walks the earth. And to her, that's so normal that, on a Thursday night at 7 p.m., Jesus goes to Applebee's to get endless riblets like everybody else. He's not unapproachable. He's so similar to us, and he's here. That's what this kid thought. And she was so excited, tell her Grammy, "Look, it's Jesus. He's here too. Isn't that cool?" That was the first time that ever happened. And, a couple of years later, my wife and I think we were at it was a place we don't normally eat. We were at like a Yoshinoya or something in another city. And this elderly Spanish woman came up to me as we were like throwing our food away in the trash can and putting our tray on top of it. This older lady came up to me, and she just like patted me on the shoulder, and I turned to her, and she just says, "Young man, you look so much like the Lord. It really made me happy to just look at you and see you, and to consider our Lord." And I was just like, wow. Well, thank you for telling me that, ma'am. I'm certainly no Jesus, but thanks for telling me that. Appreciate it. And my wife and I went on vacation one time, and we went to a church on a Sunday that was nearby. It's not our church we normally go to, but it was Sunday and we wanted to go to church, so we go to this building we've never been to before. And probably like half an hour into the service or something like that, this folded up handwritten note finds its way to me. You know, kind of like the way notes would get passed around in like junior high and high school or something. Like, yo, pass this all the way to the front, pass this all the way to the left, pass this to the second to the left, second to the last row to that person. You know that thing where you would just pass notes to each other. I don't know if kids do that anymore because y'all have like smartphones in classes these days. So maybe you don't do that anymore. But like, I open it up and it's this handwritten note, saying the same thing that I've heard so many times of just like, wow, you look like Jesus. And like, I don't know, man. It's this thing where I'm like, I'm glad to know that other people like see that, I guess, because for those people, it does something to like that kid did in front of that Applebee's, where it's just a reminder to them that no, Jesus walks amongst us, man. Like after he rose from the dead, remember he was walking around and two of his disciples saw him and didn't recognize him. They were walking along the road, commiserating with Christ, and Jesus was like, what's got you troubled, my brothers? And they're just like, Jesus was crucified and he died, bro, and we're just real sad about it. And they're saying this to Jesus himself, and they don't realize it's him. And it's not until those two disciples and Christ, they go up into the second floor of, that inn or that hostel or whatever. And it's only when Christ breaks the bread, to hand out each portion of bread to everyone at the table, as was a Mediterranean custom. But when they saw him breaking the bread, they finally realized and recognized, wait a minute, this dude we've been talking to the whole time is Jesus? And then Jesus, I assume he did the double finger pistols and was like, yes, me, bro. And then Jesus disappeared. And then they couldn't see him anymore. It's weird. But, I guess there's something, like that. Like it calls back to that knowledge that we have in us, that Christ is not some haughty, toddy, divine celebrity sitting on a throne in his Father's heaven that is unapproachable and cannot hear us. He walks this earth even now, still to this day. He is here. He is risen and he is here. And I guess, I think it's cool that it's nothing that I chose to do. It's no premeditated action to make myself appear a certain way. It's actually lethargy and laziness. That's why I don't shave or cut my hair or anything. And apparently that has been enough for some people to just be like, yo, this dude looks like Jesus. And I think that's cool. Only on the ground that in some meager way, the worthless bag of trash that I am can inspire people to remember their Lord. I think that's pretty cool. That's amazing. And that part makes me happy. But I just feel like I need to say, don't compare me to Christ. Do not in any way liken me to the perfection that is the Lord. Do not compare me to him. I will continue to do my best to emulate his principles and his beliefs and his teachings, but I am not him. You want to know Jesus? Read the Bible, man. Jesus is awesome, dude. Jesus is the best. And again, it's cool that I can remind people of how cool Jesus is. And, for some people, I can remind them that, yeah, Jesus is still here. He's still walking around. But Yeah, don't liken me to him, please. I will, in this life, I will never be worthy of such a comparison, and please don't do that anymore. I would appreciate it if you wouldn't. Anyway, yeah, I know, a weird story. I'm a weird person, apparently. But yeah, I can't stand praise where it's not due. I can't anything like that. And you can't compare me to the Lord, bro. I'm nothing like him. But as I have said to other people, that like that quote from Philippians, if you've seen any good in me, if you've seen anything noble or praiseworthy in me, what you need to understand this. I am a broken mirror. My shards only reflect the light of Christ, but they do not radiate his light. You want someone good to look up to? You look up to Jesus, bro. Jesus owns. Anyway, thank y'all for listening. I appreciate y'all's time. Appreciate kind words some of you have shared with me, encouraging words some of you have shared with me recently, like Tilly Perez. Like, thank you, bro. Like, you'll never understand how much I needed to hear those things at that moment. You helped me out, and I appreciate that. Anyway, I'm gonna ramble forever because this weed's really good, and I'm kind of getting into a state where I'm infatuated with Jesus, dude. I love Jesus so much, and I'll talk about him forever. So I gotta cut this short here. So yeah, thanks for listening. Appreciate y'all's time. God bless. I'm out.